Feel your touch from across the room. I taste your energy. I see a light that I never knew. You are overtaking me. Mesmerized, paralyzed. When your eyes find mine, that's when you leave me.
Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and welcome to another Roundtable for Neosland. Today we are going to talk combat, which I think is probably one of the most conflicting things to talk about. That was dumb. Okay, so anyway, Jacques, welcome to the show.
Hi, Marky.
Thank you for coming on the show today. And so now one of the most heated areas that we had was really what to do about combat. How was that going to work? And we went through a series of questions and everything, and tried to narrow things down. And you've gone over all the information, and you've got a plan, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, we want to know how we are going to kill each other.
So we've looked at a few systems that's out there and stuff like that, and also, what will work best with the amount of data and stuff that we're sending to and from the server to the clients, and for frame rate and stuff like that. And we've come up with a combat system we call focused combat. What it consists of, it's going to be very similar using the soft lock targeting system that you get in games like Terra and Elder Scroll Online. But with a little bit of a difference in the fact that with them, when you do the soft focusing onto targeting onto a mob or player or something like that, you focus onto the whole player itself. Where with our system, you're going to be focusing. You can choose to focus the whole player, but you can also choose to focus your attacks directly to a specific armor piece, like the chest or the shoulders or whatever. What makes it nice then is, say for instance, when you're in battle with a creature or whatever, right, another player, and say for instance, because we have degrading on our armor chest pieces and stuff like that, you could be hitting his armor piece the whole time and degrading it, and eventually it might break and just like basically show that it's damaged totally. So your attacks will be more directly onto his body, so he won't have that protection. So you can change. It's very skill based in the sense of you can change where you want to put your attacks to.
So I'm going to need to target.
Yeah.
And if I shoot somebody in the knee with an arrow, will they fall down?
No, I don't think we have it that much, but we will definitely have. There's going to be some combat systems like knockdowns and stuff like that. If you go for his hands, for instance, you could disarm him and stuff like that. So it's definitely going to be a more interactive combat system than most games out there.
Okay. So okay, now you talked a little bit about the technology on this. Why did you even bring up the things about how much data is transferred back and forth?
Well, that's the biggest thing, and that's why a lot of MMO games are battling. You have there's different things. You have your solid targeting system, which is like World of Warcraft type of combat, where you select a mob or player or whatever enemy, and then you set your abilities, whatever you do in casting it, it's going to be for that. That's very easy to send information to the server and back for us, and the timing, it's more about the client than it is about the server. Server isn't the problem ever, really. It's the client, how much data they can send through and stuff like that in a time, and getting the data back, right? So they, you might say there's that one, which makes easy for the server to calculate, and the server says what's been done and so on, and it can immediately say if that person has been attacked and how much damage is done. Then you have the other one, like a first-person shooter game, where when you shoot to somebody, or something like that, it has to allocate that if you hit this person, and then it has to send the data through to the server. So there's a bit of a few seconds in between that, So on your side, you might think you hit him, but when the server does the calculations, it doesn't show it. So you'll see hitting him now, and then just now, oh, you didn't hit him, because of a little bit of a time frame in between it. And then like what Elder Scrolls have done online in Terra, they brought in like a soft targeting system. So you still have, it's a bit of both of the two, but it allows that time frame in between, not to be that big. So it makes it possible still to do the calculations, everything, without a frame problem.
And what about the differences between like hand-to-hand combat, like I punch you, or I use a sword and I slice you, or I use magic and I blast you?
Well, they're all going to be the same in all the systems, right? So you're still going to have to, I'm not sure if a lot of people know what soft targeting is. You'll have like a crosshair right above your head, so wherever you're aiming to, basically that's where you're going to be attacking type of thing. And then you can do that in third person or first person as well. So we'll have both of those in, so you can go in between the two. And then it's just the damage being done will be accordingly to what weapons you have or whatever you're using. So if you're using hand-to-hand combat, it'll be damage calculations according to that, whatever you're using, right?
Okay. And if I'm using this targeting system, and let's just say I'm a mage, and I'm way back, and so it's going to be a little bit harder for me to make sure that I'm right on the target. But I throw my fireball at you. Can you jump out of the way? Or because of when I threw it and I had you targeted, does it hit you?
Oh, yeah, see, that's the thing. If you're going to, because of the whole thing, it comes down, if we made it that you can jump out of the way, then we are on a free targeting system, which brings us back to the frame problem, right? And, and stuff like that. So it becomes a thing like that. So unfortunately, even with soft targeting, it still comes down to, if you're aimed at something, you'll hit it, basically, if you target it.
Okay.
Now, other thing is to note also, say there's a group of, say, 10 people, 10 monsters or whatever, you're fighting a group of them, right? And it's hard for you to target one thing because everybody will be coming in and out the whole time, right? So you might not get your full target. So we'll bringing in a hard targeting system in a sense of a tabbing system, so you can tab between the mobs. So basically what that will do, if you use that, it will focus your attacks to that specific creature, but you still have to use a soft targeting to target which areas of attack you want to attack, his chest or wherever. And if you don't, get it, you won't hit him.
Okay. Sounds logical.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be very fun. I mean, we had to make a little bit of compromises here and there, to make sure that we can put most of the systems in, right? So I think this is going to be the best combat system that we can use for that.
Evil thoughts?
Sounding good so far. I really, he's talking a lot about the technicals of server side stuff here, and the interaction between server and client. As far as it goes, I mean, the only thing I see that would be irksome is if I threw a fireball and it had a big enough blast radius and you still managed to get out of the way, I would totally want to know what you're wearing. I mean,
I'm definitely looking forward to the fact that, like, we bring in a little bit more, another level into the type of gameplay that the other games don't have. And like I said, for the chess and stuff, it's going to be a lot of fun when you're fighting somebody and all of a sudden you see his chess piece is totally hanging on threads, and it's totally gone, and you change over to attacking his chest if you were attacking somewhere else, right? So you can focus your stuff. You have to be very clued up of what you're doing when you're fighting. You can't just sit there and just shoot the whole time, whatever.
I do like the idea that degradation takes place. That is awesome. It might lean more towards simulation than arcade-style gameplay, but the fact that you have that level of degradation possible makes it much more strategic in what you do. Because if you screw up with your strategy, there's a good possibility that you'll die because You weren't paying attention to the degradation levels of your armor. It makes people a lot less invincible.
Yeah, and I mean it's going to be a lot of skill based, right? So you have to have some skill when you're fighting. I mean, there's going to be the casual players that won't be so into it, and so what we'll also have in the system is you can have a area of focus, right? So you can either expand your focus to damage more areas of say the body or whatever the person you're attacking, or you can set your focus to damage smaller areas. So, for instance, you make it bigger, you'll do a little bit of damage. You'll do more damage on the chest and, percentage-wise to the other armors, Or if you decide you want to just focus, like you're very good skill base, and you want to attack
the
one
headshot?
area. Yeah, you want that extra perfect shot, then you'll just make your skill, your damage, your focus area a little bit smaller to focus directly on a specific area of the body.
And it also makes it possible that you can preserve certain pieces if you really want to. For instance, if you don't want to hit his belt pouch that may have very, very expensive potions in it, all of a sudden, if everybody's focusing on his chest armor, yeah, you might lose a magic breastplate, but you know what? You just saved a whole crap ton of other stuff that was on him.
Well,
for drops and stuff like that. Yeah.
Let me ask about that, Jacques. He's bringing up something I hadn't even thought of, and that is, damaging the potential loot that you might get from this person.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I see it logical, about the armor and stuff, but what about the stuff that he has in his backpack or on his belt or whatever? Will it take any damage?
I wouldn't say the stuff that's on it that he's not wearing specifically as armor. I think it's going to be pretty hard for us to calculate damages on that as well, right? Because already with the system we have, it's a big pull on the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
To calculate damages just on the actual body armor and stuff like that, as well as sending the damage to the character itself, right? Mm-hmm. So, but like specifically stuff like his chest piece and stuff like that, if you're hitting it and it's being damaged, it's damaged, if you're doing the X amount of damage to his armors and stuff like that, if he doesn't die before all of the stuff is damaged, then your loot's going to be very, very low.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely makes you think.
How do you envision degradation of things like weapons and armor? If I'm going out adventuring for the day, I would hope that my armor lasts me for the day. But in when I'm going like player versus environment, but when I'm going up against another actual player, there's more that we want to see, I suppose, of you're in this combat that you're actually doing damage to their armor or whatnot. Yeah. So how do you balance that?
Well, there's different ways, different ones, right? You have a wear degradation, right? That's your normal wear and tear as you use it, over a period of time. And then we're gonna have a damage degradation, and like wherever you get attacked by mobs or anything like that, or using your weapon directly onto it, that's not your normal wear and tear, basically. So you're gonna have additional damage depending on whatever it is, right? The balancing is going to be not an easy thing, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to balance it over time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Saint, I know you've had some specific ideas on how combat should work.
Yeah.
And everything. What do you think about what you're hearing?
I think it's interesting. I'm liking the effect of it being more action based, more skill. Idea of the targeting. The only thing is if it's going to be fluid or not, or how fast am I going to be able to focus on certain targets of the body.
Well, it's exactly the same as what you would focus on any mob, right? Wherever your crosshair hits, that's your focus point. So
Okay.
it'll be totally fluent.
So I'm not tabbing to a selected point. I'm actually aiming.
Yeah, it's aiming. It's just like I said, just like Terra and Elder Scrolls Online.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Only difference is the fact that they when they focus on something, they focus on the full character. where we'll be having a focus. There will be a focus on the character, but it will mostly be where you're focusing your attacking. To what point you're attacking, right?
So those of us who have really good focus and like laser point, targeting, are probably gonna penetrate armor a lot faster than those that are just throwing stuff at them willy nilly.
Yeah, I mean, if you change your focus, obviously your focus ranges, right? Say you wanted to focus, but you're not good at specifically aiming where you're going to be shooting. Basically, you'll just do a wide range when you're just starting to learn the system. Obviously, you'll be damaging, and then damage will be whatever damage gets done will be spread over whatever armor pieces you're attacking. Where if you focus it more to a specific piece of armor, say like a chest, you're doing your full damage on that specific piece of armor. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're definitely gonna, it's gonna be two different ways of combat. I mean, you'll most probably have one or two people. If you're doing like a group setting, you'll either have a few people that's going to be right in the combat zone, to be able to focus right on his chest or whatever piece of armor, right? And they'll be focusing very small. The focus range will be very small. And then, say if you're having people that's from far, that want to be focusing in certain areas that can't see him so clearly and stuff like that for combating, their focus will be more wider spread so they can do damages on more than one thing.
That would be very interesting. In like the game World of Tanks, we call out our targets and we say, okay, you want to hit this person, and then there's very specific areas that you want to focus on to get the most impact. And I could totally see that. I could totally see a group working together and okay, everybody, he's a mage. He can't cast without his arms. Hit him in the arms. or he can't swing his sword.
Also, say for instance, you're going to go and do a fight a big boss or something like that, right? And when you go do a run on him, right, you want to get maybe a certain piece of armor from him. Mm-hmm. Then everybody in a group is going to focus other than that piece of armor. Otherwise, it's just going to be destroyed, maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah, interesting. This brings another level of tactics in.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That I've not encountered in other games. I mean, of course, first-person shooters, it's like get the headshot. That's where you're going to get the most damage. And maybe that's what everybody will end up doing in here because they want to protect the majority of the armor, and helms are a lot cheaper. I don't know. So interesting, very interesting.
Or take out the warrior's legs so the mages can attack them rather than anyone else getting damage.
So will that, Jacques, will that affect, so if we all focus, say, on the legs, will their mobility be disrupted at all, or do they just...
we haven't totally thought of that yet, right? But I mean, that is definitely an option that we can maybe look at bringing in, depending on how intrigued it is, and, also resource-wise, if it will be possible, Mm-hmm. Like our basic focus was the first one, it's just for the armor, right? But I mean, we can maybe take it a step further depending on where we are at when we get closer to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I mean, it definitely brings in some ideas for strategy and how you're going to play.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Saint, I know you had a lot of questions from previous about combat.
Yeah.
And do we have any current questions that are in the chat right now, and then we can go back to some of those older questions we had?
Yeah, we have one. He wants to know. He really just wanted to know what I already asked. If you're tab targeting or just reiterating it.
Lovely mic there, Saint.
Is it cutting out? I'm so sorry. Basically, he wants to know if it's going to be tab targeting or aim based, and I think we already came over this.
Yeah, it's aim based. The only place we'll be tab targeting is just where there's groups of mobs. Then it's hard for you to aim, and you want to maybe specifically hit a specific one. Then you can tab between them. But that tab targeting that you're doing there just gives you like an overall target, but it's not an attackable target. So you still have to aim with it to what part you want to attack from it, basically.
Okay.
Okay. I have another question here. It says, what other areas of PvP will be in the game? For example, is it just instance PvP or will it be world PvP?
It's going to be world PvP.
It's
There's
all
no-
world PvP.
It's all world, yeah. There's going to be safe zones and safe areas, and there's guard areas. Guards will protect certain areas and stuff like that. And we also bring in it's like magical towers, like giving it a little bit more of defense areas for PvE.
I vote for Tesla towers.
But
Fry
yeah,
'em.
it's something like that, But it's going to be PvPing everywhere, where there's no safe zones. Even in the safe zones, you can even still attack another player, But your chances of making a successful run from it, it's very unlikely. That being said, if we have, say, there's guards that's in certain areas, you can get a group of people, maybe say 10 guys or so, that can still kill a guard. The guards won't be invincible, So you can form a group of people, go kill a guard, say that's roaming a certain patrolling area, and then basically that guard will only be spawning back in a certain time. So you have that time gap that you can actually attack other players and stuff like that. So it makes options like that, But we will have a system in place where the player will immediately see in which area he is, if he's protected or not, where he's standing.
Mm-hmm. So pack up your shit and get the hell out of here. That guard's just been killed.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Well, that'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun. When if we really want to cause a lot of mayhem, to go into a city that's normally pretty protected and cause some chaos. But I think I would expect, though, that your vision on that is that we will
I'll be right
lose a
back.
lot of our own lives in the process
Exactly,
of
yeah.
trying to make that happen. So the cost will be very high.
Yeah, it will be a fun but expensive trip.
Yeah.
Extreme bad karma.
Well, that'll happen on the drunken roams when we are not making as good of decisions.
Like, that's an excuse.
Yeah.
I do have one question from Oleg. He was asking, for repair kits and stuff like that. We will look at maybe having some repairing system, that you don't always have to come back to town, depending on where you are, or maybe make it a skill system where, if somebody has that skill, then they can actually use that on the field, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've got a question about when you're attacking someone or something. How do you vision the health bar on the opposite person? Is it visual, so you can see them dying with the amount of damage they've done or the amount of blood on their body, or is there a bar above their heads?
So firstly, a targeting system, it will be very similar to other ones where if you target say a mob or something, it'll have maybe a red line around it, like a red glow around it, but with ours it'll be more specific, so you'll see if you're targeting the chest or the arm, the arms or the legs or whatever, right down the head, it'll have a glow around it so you can see what you're targeting, so that's very important. Then we'll have another indicators like like your damage done and stuff like that. That's numbers and stuff that comes up you can see. And then we'll also have indicators for the armor itself, where we can have it that you can see if the armor is damaged or which one is going away and stuff like that. If it gets below a certain amount of damage, you're going to be unequipping that armor right away, right? So you'll see all of a sudden the guy changing from normal armor to nothing. It's auto unequipped. So he might have to stand around and then try and put on another piece of armor. We will have a timer on equipping armor and stuff like that to make sure that people just don't use that the whole time. But depending if he wants to keep the damage going, you'll have a lot of damage on him while he's busy trying to equip his next piece of armor.
Interesting.
All right. I got a question here. Someone would like to know, will we be able to hit multiple targets with big weapons or magic?
Yeah, there's going to be area of damage as well, area of attacks as well. And with bigger weapons, we'll definitely be looking at hitting multiple targets, depending on how we do that system. But yeah, there's a possibility of that.
That could get messy. Now, area effect, that affects everything in the area, not just the bad guys, right?
Yeah, we could have. Well, it's going to be depending on what type of area, damage that's been done, right? So if you're casting a fireball, and it falls on the ground, and it burns, it's fire. If there's a player of your own type that's standing in it, he's obviously going to get affected too, stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot of strategic playing too as well.
So there'll be friendly fire.
Yeah.
No pun intended on the field of fire.
Yeah, those friendly fire will mostly be just for like damage on an area, like something that makes sense. When it comes down to targeting, say for instance you're busy targeting this monster's chest, and your friend runs in front, you won't be hitting his chest, for instance, because he's not a targetable enemy at that stage.
But that doesn't mean you can't hit him.
Yeah, you can hit him, but it won't damage him.
What about
That'd be just crazy.
what about your partner next to you? Like, is there friendly fire regarding these AOEs and whatnot?
Yeah, that depends on. How do you mean if it's friendly fire? You mean if you're standing next to somebody and you target the ground on you or something like that?
No, if say like
No,
there's a person in my party and we're attacking the same thing, and I throw down an AOE in front of us and he's standing in it.
Oh, for the party attack. Yeah, I think if we form a party, if we're just talking about normal combat, right? If you're forming a party, then that'll change a little bit, right? So it depends on also what type of thing you're throwing down there. If it's a fireball, it must still do damage on him as well. Depending on what type of ability you're using on it.
I think it should also depend. Here's the thing. I think that there should be some sort of friendly fire on melee and ranged attacks if you go into the line of effect, whether it's like an arrow or something. Because if you got 20 archers and some dumbass melee fighter runs across the field of fire for the archers, I think there should be
Named Leroy.
What was that?
Named Leroy.
Yeah, I think he should have a chance of getting hit. Maybe not 100%. Maybe they at the last second they aim differently or something. But I don't think it should be just because you're in the party, you're not going to
immune.
You're going to be immune, because that dramatically changes tactics. I mean, a horde of orcs isn't going to care. Players will, and this will come down to numbers at some point. And if somebody keeps shooting arrows into other people's backs, accidentally or intentionally, I don't think there should be an immunity.
Yeah, no. Well, let's put it this way, right? This is just our base system that we got here, right? As we go along and we start, playing and play testing it and stuff like that, a lot of things are still going to change.
Then you'll add in the more complex stuff. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And we have the similar thing with swords as well, where you're with one sword you're attacking multiple mobs, say, and your partner's standing right next to you. You can swing straight through and hit him.
Yeah, we definitely look at all these different types of things, right? Scenarios as we start playing. It also comes down to gameplay, right? So it might sound good now, but once you actually have it in the game and actually testing it, it might change, right? So it's
absolutely
it's something. This is something you have to change. You have to test.
Even if you say, okay, this is the way we're going to do it. This is how it's going to work. In my opinion, if we get there and it's not fun, it has to change, no matter what the promise was that you made.
Exactly. Yeah.
As long as it's not nerfed.
Well, but nerfs sometimes need to happen. That is a real art to never nerf. But nerfs sometimes have to happen, but they are to be used very sparingly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of these AOE effects in guarded areas where you're with a friend attacking mobs, and someone sort of throws a fireball, and you're just close enough where you get hit by the fireball. Your partner will then get mobbed by guards and killed, and then you'll get killed by these mobs because you're the only one left. I think that's going to be a huge problem if you do have AOE effects on friendly party members.
Well, it
or
depends if
even
it's
other
a.
people?
Well, we might make it so, I don't know, if you're joining a party, right, you shouldn't be able to PvP them as well. That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Yeah, but accidents do happen. I mean, you throw a fireball at a bad guy, and one of your friendlies just so happens to get hit. I think that's different than aiming for your guy and firing.
I can tell you that, like in Infestation, I've been shot in the head 4 times by Major 1. And each time, I just happened to jump in front of his gun as he was pulling the trigger. And it was, it was friendly fire or whatnot, but, I would actually rather have it be that way than me just be immune to it. It adds a lot more complexity to the strategy.
Yeah.
And which to me feels like it'd be more fun.
No.
But that's the biggest measurement. Is the fun. So
Yeah, it might be the other side of it too, right? You go in a party in a group and you by accidentally get killed every time, you don't know the guy's doing it by accident or whatever, and also because we have a system in place where if you kill somebody, or whatever, you lose karma and stuff like that. So all these things, that person can get upset as well, saying, but geez, why are you playing so dumb, so it ends up not being fun.
I'm gonna get tagged on that one all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the concern I've got is the guards, because I know any damage that you attack in, say, the sort of semi-protected areas, the guards will come and attack you. I can see that happening many, many times. People
Yeah, it could be a
accidentally
problem
getting
as
an
well,
area
right?
of effect on someone, just even the slightest bit of damage, where it won't give you much of an effect, and you do it just to get the mobs, and you get maybe 1 or 2 damage, but then the guards come along and then kill you, the person that's helping you out. Even if you're not in the party, if you're just in a guild and someone comes and helps you out, or even if you're sort of walking along the street or along the path, you see someone attacking a mob and they're going to die,
Well,
you help them out.
it can still maybe hurt you, but not flag.
Yeah,
I
maybe
don't know.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that we can. I'm sure that there are solutions to these questions and these concerns.
But I say once again, we have to see this in action, to actually see what's going to happen with it.
I mean, it could be with if you actually specifically target that person, so you have to tab to the person, which you said was going to happen, then target the area. If that happens, then that activates the guards or the PvP. But if you're tabbed onto one of the mobs, then that doesn't. You might get AoE effect, but that doesn't actually sort of encourage the guards to come along.
Yeah.
It might be a way around it.
Yep.
All right. Next question. Will the projectile weapons in this game have any physics involved with it?
Projectile at this stage, it comes down again to the same thing, of being a first-person shooter and a tab system like we have now. If it adds physics into it, when you're saying physics, you mean if you're shooting an arrow and somebody jumps in front of it, that arrow hits that person. That comes down to being a first-person shooter, and we can't do that, with the amount of stuff that we're sending up and down. That's pretty much how first-person shooters work, right? They work on a physics system, basically, in the sense of, whatever it hits, that's what it is going to be hitting, basically.
So okay. Just confused because you said that if you aim at something and you hit it, it'll hit. But in the sense of projectiles, then those are tab targeted?
No, that's still the same thing. You still have to aim at it, right? It's like where your focus point is, where your aim is. That's 2 different things. If you have something that they aim at, right? I'm aiming at, say, your chest, right? And I swing. Where I aimed at, that's where it's going to hit, right?
Yeah, but what if somebody walks in front of my swing? You're saying it's not going to hit.
No, it's still gonna hit. You can't do it any other way. If it doesn't hit, then you go back to a first-person shooter system, where it works on a physics system. So basically, if you're throwing something, say you're shooting an arrow or something, whatever the arrow hits, it doesn't matter what you were targeting. It's not a targeting system as such.
I'm a little confused.
Yeah, I was gonna
On
say
that.
I feel confused now too.
Because I mean, if you're saying like Elder Scrolls, for example, in Elder Scrolls, I'm swinging at an orc and a person walks in front of this guy, in front of me, as I'm
You'll
swinging
be
my
hitting the
sword.
orc. Yeah, you'll hit the not the orc. You'll hit the guy that walks in front of you, right?
Yeah.
But now in Elder Scrolls, if you have an arrow, you aim at a certain person and you shoot the arrow at him, right? And after you shot the arrow, somebody walks in front of him. After the arrow has moved, the arrow is still going to shoot the person you aimed at. It's not going to shoot the person that walked in front of it.
Not true.
Oh yeah.
That's not true because I've done it before. I've shot somebody that walked in front of me.
No, you see, so it's an aiming thing. When that person walks in front of you, right, your aim changes from the thing you were aiming at to the thing that walked in front of you, right? You understand? It's say for instance you weren't aiming at anything and you shot the arrow in the air, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say it goes in the air and somebody walked. Say it was a long range, right? After you've aimed where your aiming cursor was, you shot the arrow up in the air, so your aiming cursor is in where the arrow is going, right? And then somebody walked in front of that arrow. There's two types of things.
Well, I mean,
It's like a first-person shooter, for instance, right? If you shoot a gun, right, you're aiming at a certain place. You shoot a gun or something, right? And the minute you shot, the shot has left your gun. Somebody walked in front. Then it becomes it's not going to hit that person that walked in front of you then because you shot where you were aiming. It's an aiming thing, right?
so it's like auto lock.
The target is locked once the trigger is pulled. Even if somebody walks in front of it, but if somebody walks in front before the trigger is pulled, does that person who walks in front then get hit?
Yeah, basically he gets hit. Yeah, because your target changes, right? That's why I say even in Elder Scrolls, that's pretty much what I'm pretty sure that happened with you when you say that.
Yeah, because like when I shoot it, I can shoot an arrow directly up in the sky above me in Elder Scrolls, and wherever that arrow lands, it's hitting whatever it hits. It's not targeted to something. Because I've done it. I mean, I've sat in town and shot somebody that's sitting there preaching. There's videos all over about it. I just aim up in the sky, shoot it up in the sky, and let it land on his head while he's talking too much.
Well, I'm a little bit confused. I'm pretty sure it wasn't like that, but no, that's not. With us, we won't be able to do that.
I think this is a question of technicalities that's beyond the discussion we need to have. I mean, at this point, just the fact that we have a soft targeting system, we know that's in place. We can target specific items. That's awesome. I think we can save the whole discussion on, or the arguments back and forth about Elder Scrolls for some time, considering it's, sometime far in the future, maybe never.
Well, we're not. I mean, we are not making Elder Scrolls here.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
that everything is exactly the same. It was an example used as how things could be visualized as working.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said again, depending on once we have everything in place, we can see what the resource pool is on everything, right? Then we can see what else we can add in to improve it, obviously. So we'll see at that stage where we are with certain things.
Okay, next question on the list here. When you're attacking a certain piece of gear, are there going to be residual effects as far as if I'm attacking somebody that has a high rating of parry skill? Will that mean that my attacks will have a higher chance to be glanced or blocked?
Yeah, definitely. So you're going to have not skills, you could say stats on your character as well, right? So all these things will come into play into combat, as well as any stats that you have on a piece of armor and stuff like that. So you might attack a guy's chest, and he might have some type of resistances. So we're working on different stats also with, like, say, weapon stats like a crush damage and different types of damage as well. like slash damage from a sword and stuff. So say you're doing a crush damage on a piece of armor, and it's maybe steel, right? So crush damage will be, you can do more crush damage and you'll be able to do a slash damage. So it depends on what weapon you're using on him as well. Where if it was a piece of leather, for instance, a slash damage will be more than crush damage and that type of thing. We'll have it balanced accordingly.
Okay.
So we can do different
So
types.
there.
Yeah. So you'll be able to do different types of damages also, so it's not going to be just a question of whatever weapon you have, you can just attack, You have to figure out, what type of armor he's using also when you look at it, right, if you want to get right into it.
So is
And-
there a possibility of doing or adding in a non-lethal damage
What would be
availability?
the use of that?
Stunning somebody and kidnapping them.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's going to be, like, when you do your skills, and you'll have different abilities from certain skills and stuff like that. There's going to be stuff like, knocking the guy off his feet, and so he can't attack you, or maybe stunning and stuff like that, So definitely those things are going to be available as well.
Yay!
Awkward.
Kidnapping.
What if I hit someone in his back with a dagger?
Well, what about it?
Backstab damage.
You can definitely do that, yeah.
Kidnapping and backstabbing. What
Hell
are we
yeah.
talking about here?
Well, I am evil.
Next question is you said that you're going to be able to do these abilities and attacks and different attacks. Is this like all hotbar based and cooldown based attacks that we're talking about here?
Well, the attacks we're going to try not to have much cooldowns in them. So it's going to be a left and right mouse button, so you'll add in whatever attack, like ability, not ability, like your type of attack that you're going to be doing, like sword, if you have a sword, you're going to slash with a sword, and left press and right press will be your defense or your dodging mechanism that you're going to have in. And then you'll have like 4 keys, there'll be keys to use the abilities and stuff like that as well. So there'll be some keys for using a potion or whatever, and other keys to use like the abilities that you get from your skills.
Now, when we were discussing that once the trigger's pulled, the person's going to get hit, targeted type of deal that we're talking about. Is this also in effect with our environment? So I'm going to get hit no matter what, even if I hide behind a tree, let's say? If the person already has pulled the trigger, so to speak, and I'm talking about basically projectiles here, not
Yeah.
really up close and
Well, here's the thing, projectiles is going to be like it's not going to be an hour before you get hit, right? So at that stage, it's going to be so quick, the timing in it, if you're jumping behind a tree, the chances of him hitting you, it's going to be very slightly because it's going to be a quick thing when the projectile gets shot to you, right? So if he hasn't pulled the trigger the second that you're behind the tree, then it's going to hit the tree, basically. I mean, we're talking about milliseconds here, I mean, the chances of you, it's put it this way, it's not going to feel like you're not hitting what you're aiming at, type of thing. There's no such thing, right? So whatever you aimed at, that's what you're going to be hitting.
Gotcha.
At that specific time.
Okay. If anybody has any questions in chat, now's the time to ask them. A lot of questions on my end.
Okay. We are near the end of the show. Jacques, what have we not asked you about combat that you still want to tell us?
I think that's pretty much everything that we were looking at, like things are definitely going to be changing as we start implementing it as well. We'll be refining it a little bit, we have been looking at stuff like like the telegraphs that they put on the ground and stuff like from other games, and that type of things, but we haven't made any decision on something like that yet. So, we're still looking at a few different other things we want to add in as well to complement it as well. But like this is our base system that we're going to be working with, and then we'll build up from this as we go along.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, I don't see any more questions coming in. So for those of you that have made it this far, and this is your first encounter with Neosland. It's a game that's being developed by NeoJack. It's based off of roundtables like this on the design of the game. And neosland.com, you can get in there on the early. You can be a founder of the game and get in right now. And Jacques, when I won't hold you to this date, but when is it that you're projecting will be the earliest access into the game?
The earliest access, originally it was set for December with Kickstarter, but because we had to change a little bit, so we're moving it to January. So it's going to be January. I think we had a date that we set when we did the schedule before. I don't have it with me right here now. So that's all. Or
28th or 30th, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So that's when people that backed on the website, will be able to get access right into it. Although we do have the building tools and a few other things that we'll be releasing from now until then, for the community to play with and to work with,
Mm-hmm.
We also updated, just to mention, we did add a new social profiling system into our website, so people can form more of a social, networking with other players and stuff like that. It's something similar to Facebook, but it allows you to, it's more orientated for the game type, what we wanted to do with it. So you can create guilds now there. You can start advertising, build people for different communities. I know Fez has already started he's calling it Barter Town, for all the people that want to barter things in his group. Seeing he's got the most dung in the game. So it's a nice little thing, and it also updates with the forums as well. So if somebody does a post in the forums, and you just go to the social homepage, social profilers homepage, you can see all the updates of that. You can put up movies and screenshots and stuff of the game. I think in the future when people have their own dungeons and stuff, that's going to be an awesome tool to use, for people to advertise their dungeons and so on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Come fill my dungeon with loot.
Right.
Free of charge.
Free of charge. Goodness. So, well, there is a charge. It's just your life, but what the hell?
They got resurrection.
Yeah.
Leave your loot.
Okay, well, I think we are at the end of the show here. So for those of you watching live, we're going to do a drawing now. And if you're watching on YouTube, well, I'm sorry, you're a little late for the drawing. But do try and come to our live shows. They're every Thursday. And schedules here on Twitch. There's a link in the description. Now, for those of you who are here watching live, we've got a couple of items that NeoJack is being kind enough to give away to those of you who are participating in the shows. The first one is a secure land block, and this secure land block is it's the you don't have to pay the insurance on it to make sure that you keep it, and it also gives you a 10% tax break. Now, for those of you who are here right now, you'll want to make sure that you're following me on this channel and that you're just here. So I'll update this screen right here. And actually, it looks like 33 out of 34 people are following. So that's awesome. The next thing...
Yeah, that'd be the Nightbot.
Oh,
I have a chance of winning.
Yeah. That'd be Nightbot who's not following me. That's funny. Another item is, and you get your choice between any of these. And so what I'll be doing is I'll be sending you a message that you'll reply to with what you want. And so another one is a 1-month subscription. The game is subscription based, $10 a month is what it's projected to be. And but the subscriptions, there is also ways to play for free, just so everybody knows. So a 1-month subscription code or a baby dragon. And follow you around, look cute, maybe get underfoot, I don't know.
Get big and eat people.
I know that's what you keep voting for.
Damn Skippy. What? Can't have it kill your enemies.
And then there is the poop scoop, which Fez, who's the dung master here, the the poop scoop is used to collect dung in the game, which then can be used as like fertilizer or whatever else for your plants and stuff. There'll be some other uses, and the so anyway, and this poop scoop will not disappear if you get killed. It won't be taken away from you, and such. It'll stick to you like glue.
Wow, there's so many places I could go with that. I'm sure.
I know. Yes, well, it'll stick to you like shit on your shoe, and so,
You said it.
anyway, okay, so we're gonna roll now, and I'll hit update here one more time, and then here we go, rolling the dice, and it looks like Savon 0, you are the winner. So I shall send you a message in just a moment, Savon. And for everybody who's here watching, thank you so much for being here. Please do follow, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And, reroll. Savon, why should I reroll? You don't want it?
I'll take it.
So, I don't understand why he says reroll. But he'll receive the gift and he can give it away if he wants to. I'm good.
Says he's good.
I vote for reroll.
Okay. If you say so, I'll reroll. Okay. Here we go. Rolling again. Everybody can thank Savon for
Thank you,
another
Savon.
chance. Oh my God. Look who won. It's not fair. Well, staff, everybody is eligible to win, and Saint just won.
Yeah, so,
Saint.
That's a reroll.
Yeah,
Well,
you
no.
can re-roll that. You
No,
can
it's
re-roll
open
that.
to everybody.
No, it's okay.
Reroll.
It's okay. You
It's
can
really,
re-roll.
you really want me to re-roll?
Yeah, it's okay. I already cornered the market on horse dung. I'm good.
You want that dragon?
Okay, I'll re-roll again. Here we go. Coin and cleavage. Coin and cleavage. You are the winner.
I think you should
Man.
get 2 prizes for that name.
Can't win.
congrats on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So.
Feel like such a loser.
Yeah, he's quite sort of prevalent in the forums. That guy.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, coin and cleavage. You'll get a message from me here shortly. And thank you, everybody. That is it for today. Neosland.com. And you get in on the action and be there when we start playing. And you can join us in what? Barterville? Who was it that has got Barterville?
Yeah, it's Bartertown.
Bartertown.
It's a town that Tina Turner ran in Mad Max.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
It's
Well,
just it's
Geek
just the
Points is
name.
awesome.
Yeah, it's just the name of the town that I'm sort of trying to set up for sort of everyone who starts the game to maybe congregate and to make it easier for people to start trading early on in the game.
Yeah.
More than me sort of monopolising things, it's going to be a really cheap place for people to live, and just trying to get as a main trade hub really.
Huh. Sounds interesting. Sounds like something a merchant would like.
Yep.
So, okay. Well, that's it for today. Thank you, everybody. We shall see you next week. Same time, same place.
Later.
Are you going to?